Hello and welcome back to our Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 1 playthrough. In our last episode we got through to the championship bout of the martial arts tournament by defeating our fellow bracers. So that was fun. Then we got a message in our hotel room asking us to meet someone at night, which turned out to be none other than Captain Schwartz, disguised as a nun. She needs us to break into the palace and speak to the Queen on her behalf. She's given us a letter of introduction so that the Queen will know that we speak for her, and as we were going to do it anyway, we agreed. Then we got the key for the eastern sewers, so we've had a bonus episode between the end of last episode and this episode. Again, as you do. There we go. We're reporting sewer monsters east. We got 3,000 monies, 8 BP, and we're still junior bracer rank 3rd class. Alan says, congratulations on an assignment well done. If you finish any other posted tasks, please be sure to come back and let us know. There are no posted tasks. So, we won't be back. So, now that we're here, and now that we're ready, let's go see what Lieutenant Lawrence and his special ops team can do to us. Leafa says, it's almost time for the championship match to start. Are you nervous? When you're ready, please proceed through the entrance gate. The receptionist says, welcome everyone to the Grand Arena. Please note that tournament participants are asked to remain within the arena's walls until the end of the day's matches. Have you made all the necessary preparations for a day of hot action? Let's go. Receptionist says, excellent. Your waiting room is the blue team room, just inside the hall on the right. Right, well. Why, yes, sir, of course. We're in the blue team room. Estelle sighs. Looks like it's just us in here. This waiting room feels awfully big right now. Joshua says, well, it actually is a pretty big room. Team sports events and circuses alike used to be held here. But that was back in a time when gladiators fighting monsters was a man's only source of entertainment. Estelle says, interesting. I guess that would explain the size, if there were circus animals in here. Olivier says, I must say it certainly doesn't measure up to an imperial opera house, but even so, it's about the size of an outdoor concert venue, and that's certainly acceptable. Estelle pouts. Excuse us for being less gaudy than you imperialists. Zin says, I think we may have gotten here a little too early though. We've still got a sizable chunk of time before the match starts. Estelle asks, really? Waiting around for your match to start really does get kind of boring. Joshua says, so why don't we walk around the grounds for a little while then? Estelle says, works for me. We're going to go out for a walk, guys. Zin says, sure, just make sure that you're here in time for the match. So Estelle and Joshua depart the room. Zin says, well, what new turn of events is this? I thought for sure that you'd go with them. Olivier says, I just get the feeling that something's changed between the two of them. Some type of step forward. Zin says, hello, Mr. Observant. They've definitely been feeling some pressure from the matches, but today they seem a lot more relaxed. Oh, to be that young again, eh? Olivier asks, but are they ready for the feelings that well up from within them? Even if they are not, the feelings are surely ready for them. Such delightful awkwardness. I look forward to what comes of it. Zin says, I really just don't get you. Estelle shudders. Joshua asks, is something wrong? This is outside the room. Yeah. Joshua asks, are you feeling alright? Estelle says, I'm okay. I just got the chills all of a sudden. Like someone is talking about us or plotting something. Joshua says, I think I can guess who that is. We're really not guests of honour at this point. We're up in the stadium. Estelle asks, is something wrong, Kurt? Kurt replies, oh, it's you guys. Guess it's time for the final match. Give it all you've got, okay? Estelle says, you bet. You don't look so good there, Kurt. Are you okay? Joshua adds, you do seem pale. Kurt replies, nah, just a little lightheaded, that's all. Though it's kind of odd. I don't feel sick, so why am I lightheaded? I think I'm having a flashback. Estelle asks, flashback? From what, yesterday? Kurt replies, no, from an accident I had about 3 months ago. Seems I screwed up on a job and messed myself up pretty bad. Estelle asks, what do you mean, seems? Joshua asks, you don't mean amnesia, do you? Kurt replies, I do. It's kind of embarrassing and perhaps even a bit cliched, but I actually don't remember a thing about it. Or didn't anyway. I still can't even remember what job I was doing that got me hurt in the first place. The doctor said it wasn't shock or anything, but offered no other explanations as to what it could be. Estelle says, wow, what a story. But you were still okay to participate in the match, even in that condition? Kurt replied, I told you, physically there isn't a thing wrong with me. In fact, I'm feeling a lot better just talking it over with you. And in time, these flashbacks will start to take shape and I'll remember what happened. So don't worry about me, okay? Estelle says, okay, I guess, if you say so. Joshua says, you are starting to look a little better than you did a minute ago. Just be careful though, okay? Kurt says, thanks. You guys too. Good luck out there. Grant says, we're all here to root for you today. You're representing the Bracers Guild out there, so be sure to make us proud. Kana says, hey you guys. Listen, just relax and do what you've always done. There's no pressure. Annalise says, hey newbies. Your opponents are tough, but you guys should be able to take them no sweat. Break a leg out there. We'll be cheering for you like you wouldn't believe. Spectator says, I wonder who'll win. It's going to be amazing. There's Dorothy. Doesn't look like anyone else we know in the stands, so let's have a chat with Dorothy. Dorothy cries, hey, Estelle! You did it! The final fight! It's so exciting! Estelle says, "Deep breaths, Dorothy. Come on now, do it with me." Joshua says, "If you don't relax and keep yourself still and focused, you won't be able to get any good shots." Dorothy says, "Oh, don't worry about that. I take my best pictures when I'm all hyped up like this. They're more natural, you see." Joshua says, "Oh, I guess they would be." Estelle says, "Dorothy, I think you're some kind of savant or something." Oh no, Professor up here. Professor Alba says, "Estelle, Joshua." Estelle asks, "Professor?" Joshua asks, "You came to watch us?" Professor Alba says, "But of course, you've always been such a big help to me. I owe you to at least that much." Estelle says, "Thanks, Professor. But how'd you scrape together the mirror for a ticket?" Professor Alba says, "Well, that was a bit of a lucky break on my part, actually. The museum director had some sudden business to attend to, so he couldn't make it today. And here I am in his stead." Estelle says, Should have guessed you'd never be able to get hidden here out of your own pocket." Professor Alba laughs. "Not that I wouldn't try, of course. I'm sure I could find a way if I put my mind to it. At any rate, I am here, and here I am. And I'll be shouting your names for sure. Knock 'em dead, you two." Estelle says, "You bet we will." Joshua says, "Thank you, Professor." Okay. An old man's voice says, "Oh, Estelle, Joshua, is that you?" Estelle says, "Mayor Klaus." Joshua asks, What brings you here?" Mayor Klaus says, "It's good to see you both again. Scheherazade told me that you'd gone travelling all over the kingdom. You've certainly grown up nicely in the time since we last met." Joshua laughs. "Thank you very much." Estelle says, "Well, I can't speak for myself really, but you certainly seem as chipper as ever, Mr. Mayor. It's kind of refreshing to see." Mayor Klaus laughs. "Well, I won't let you young folk beat me just yet. So, I hear that you two made it all the way to the championship in this martial arts competition. I may be a little old for such things, but I came to watch." Estelle asks, "You came all the way from Rolent for that?" Mayor Klaus says, No. Actually, I got an invitation out of the blue to a dinner party at Gransel Castle. I only arrived in Gransel this morning. Came by way of an airliner." Estelle says, "No way." Joshua says, I think I get it. I think I get it too. I'm seeing a very red banquet." Joshua says, "The invitation came from Duke Dunan, right?" Mayor Klaus asks, "Oh, you know of it? I was originally planning to attend a birth ceremony for this married couple and then journey here, but this lady officer approached me out of nowhere and told me that I was invited to this dinner party." Estelle whispers, "One guess as to who that was." Joshua whispers back, "Yeah, it had to be Captain Amaltheo." Mayor Klaus says, "Sadly, my wife's just not much of the travelling sort, so I didn't have much choice but to come here by myself." Estelle says, "She's not here?" Joshua says, "Pardon me, Mayor. There is a chance that we may also be attending that dinner party." Mayor Klaus asks, "Oh?" Estelle and Joshua explained that the Duke had stated that the winner of the competition would receive a formal invitation to the party. Mayor Klaus says, "I see. Well, that explains it. It hardly seems appropriate to call for a dinner party when Her Majesty is taken ill, but if you two will be there, I might not feel quite so awkward. So that just means that you'll have to try that much harder to win. Estelle laughs. You bet. Joshua says, we'll try our best to meet your expectations. Mayor Klaus says, I think I'm going to find myself a seat then. Best of luck to the both of you. And off he goes. Estelle says, I can't believe he's going to be at the dinner party too. You think Mayor Maybell will be there as well? Joshua says, it seems likely. There'll probably be a lot of influential people in attendance. Estelle says, oh well. We just need to focus on winning our match, and then we'll see everyone there. Joshua says, sounds good. Speaking of which, it's almost time. Let's return to the waiting room. Estelle says, okay. Back to the waiting room we go. And Pokemon Stadium is ready to go. We're in our ready room. Estelle says, oh, it looks like the Duke and Colonel Richard are showing up together today. Joshua says, indeed. Maybe he's here to watch his subordinates compete. Zin says, oh, so that's the Royal Army's darling of the public, eh? He's handsome enough and well-groomed. He looks like the capable sort. Estelle says, yeah, I guess so. Olivier says, he doesn't seem to bear much resemblance to when I saw him in Beausset, at least in terms of character. But what indeed can one do? I suppose that he is worthy of being considered a rival to the great Olivier Lenheim. Estelle frowns. I doubt he's worried about that. Joshua says, looks like it's starting. The chairman's voice says, we must apologise to everyone for the long wait. We now open the final day of the martial arts competition as full contact matches. This arena has been abuzz with preparations and fighting for the better part of a week now, and it all culminates right here, right now. Which team will seize ultimate victory this day? Without further ado, I present the fight card for this, the championship match. Southside Blue Team, from the Calvard Republic. Captain is Zin. Northside Red Team, from the Royal Army Intelligence Division Special Forces. Captain is Second Lieutenant Lawrence. Estelle says, alright, we're up. Joshua says, finally. Olivier says, I trust everyone is ready to put everything into this. Zin says, for tears or for laughter, this is it. Game faces, guys. Off we go then. Special Ops Soldier 1 whispers, everyone we fought so far has been about as tough as tapioca. Special Ops Soldier 2 whispers, that and half this team is a pair of rookies. I doubt they'll be able to stand up to us. Second Lieutenant Lawrence laughs and whispers, don't be so sure. Both of them are part of the Bracers Guild. Special Ops Soldier 1 says, indeed. Special Ops Soldier 2 says, we've been reading up on them. Second Lieutenant Lawrence whispers, good. Now stay focused and don't underestimate them. Special Ops Soldier 1 says, yes sir. Special Ops Soldier 2 says, yes sir. Estelle asks, okay, what are those guys grousing about over there? Olivier grins, just let them be, Estelle. If they're covering their faces like that, I can't imagine they have much in the way of self-confidence. Since they lack my dazzling good looks, there's probably a lot of sniping and backbiting in their ranks. Special Ops Soldier 1 asks, what the hell's that supposed to mean? Special Ops Soldier 2 says, I'll have you know I'm considered very attractive to women. Joshua asks, the Second Lieutenant Lawrence, right? Second Lieutenant Lawrence asks, what is it, boy? Estelle asks Joshua. Joshua says, that's sword technique. No, never mind. Best of luck. Second Lieutenant Lawrence says, and to you. Estelle is bamboozled. Zen says, hey, don't let that talk get you all depressed. We're about to start. Referee says, we now begin the final match of the martial arts competition. Both teams go to your starting places. The referee says, Aidos be with you. Ready? Begin! Right. Holy, okay. Our Special Ops soldiers have 3,550 HP, no particular elemental weakness, they don't drop anything. A ranger dressed for battle fights using a series of skills and a stock of reviving balm. And Second Lieutenant Lawrence has 6,000 HP, no particular elemental weakness, doesn't drop anything, masked leader of a Special Ops team, has powerful sword skills and specialised crafts. As you do. Ow. B split. Yeah, hopefully his henchman won't be able to make it back. As in, won't be able to be revived.
Not bad.
Hell? He can be silenced. He can. need to anticept you. We got him with poison. The referee says KO. The winner is Zin's team. Special Ops Soldier 1 says it can't be. Special Ops Soldier 2 says, we're the best of the best the Special Ops have to offer. How could we lose? Second Lieutenant Lawrence says, bah, we're beaten? Estelle screams, woohoo! Joshua says, we won. We really won. Olivier is exhausted. And I'm exhausted. Zin has nothing to say. The chairman's voice says, now the winning team will be blessed with a few words from Duke Dunan. Representing the team will be Zin Vathek. Please come forward. Zin says, yes, sir. Duke Dunan says, wow, you look even bigger up close. Are all Easterners as huge as you? Zin says, no, I'm a little outside of the ordinary. I just ate well, slept well, and trained diligently ever since I was very young. I'm the way I am because I tend to think about everything very carefully and deeply. Duke Dunan laughs. I see. I like you, Zin. Allow me to present you with the prize of 100,000 Mira and the invitation to the dinner party. Zin says, thank you very much, sir. We have received an invitation and 100,000 Mira. Duke Dunan says, Aido shine her light and glory upon you and your friends. My beloved citizens, let's hear a big round of applause for the victors. Colonel Richard laughs. An interesting conclusion, I'd say. This is obviously in his box. Captain Amalthea says, Lieutenant Lawrence, you truly have no shame. His Excellency must surely be ashamed to see his men beaten by such rabble. Was all that posturing just for show? Second Lieutenant Lawrence says, I am indeed shamed. Colonel Richard laughs. Come now, Amalthea, you needn't criticize him so. Truth be told, I myself asked Lawrence to hold back. Captain Amalthea says, what? Colonel Richard says, it would behoove any member of the Intelligence Division not to put all of his strengths on display. And in this instance, it works to our benefit that the others win this championship. Captain Amalthea says, I see. His Grace too seems taken with the Easterner. He'll serve as an ample distraction. Colonel Richard says, still, it is a pity. If Lieutenant Schwartz or General Morgan had participated, the show would have been far more dynamic. Captain Amalthea laughs. Surely you jest, sir. If you truly wanted the tournament to be more dynamic, perhaps you should have participated yourself. The likes of Julia are no match for your strength, after all. Colonel Richard laughs. I don't think quite that highly of my skill with the sword. I doubt I would be able to defeat the second lieutenant here if he fought as hard as he could either. Second Lieutenant Lawrence says, hardly, sir. I believe you somewhat overestimate my strength. I'm nothing but an unrefined former Jaeger in a soldier's uniform. Colonel Richards says, I beg to differ. I have confidence in my ability to judge the strength of others, and about the only person I could see being able to fight you on equal terms would be him. Captain Althea says, speaking of whom, his children will shortly be entering Gransel Castle. Shouldn't we be taking some sort of steps to deal with them? Colonel Richards says, leave them be. We'll honour the arrangement with the Duke. And besides, it's far too late for the Bracers Guild to cause us any real trouble. Captain Althea says, but sir... Colonel Richard says, Lawrence, how far along would you gauge the plan's progress? Second Lieutenant Lawrence says, just over 90%, sir. I'm certain I'll be able to guide you to our destination within the next few days. Colonel Richard says, excellent. A new dawn fast approaches for this kingdom, and even if I must endure the stigma of treason, I shall pave the way for the glorious morrow. It is afternoon in Gransel's Eastern Bloc, and we are outside the arena. Estelle says, phew, now that was one hell of a fight. I had no clue that Lieutenant Lawrence was so freaking strong. Joshua says, yes, I think we got lucky. Even now it's hard to believe. Zen says, I don't like it. Estelle asks, huh? Zen says, it's nothing. More importantly, that fancy shindig is supposed to be happening tonight. From what I understand, it's going to run late into the night, so they're setting up rooms for us. Olivier says, most generous of them. Rubbing shoulders with all of those stuffed shirts is sure to chafe in the worst way in uncomfortable places. But dining, liberal royal dining, the very prospect of such decadence. Look at me, my mouth can barely contain itself. Where is my handkerchief? Estelle grumbles, it's getting on you. Oh, gross. Joshua says, it's good to see that you haven't lost your sense of perspective, Olivier. Olivier laughs. Indeed, let us be off then. Off to gorge our souls upon the 7 courses of courtly affection. A man's voice asks, oh, that's the plan, is it? Olivier says, well, fancy meeting you here. Major Vander says, you son of a bitch. You wander all over the place every damn day and leave me wondering what the hell you're up to. Have you gone completely mad? What possessed you to participate in a martial arts competition? Olivier says, oh, come now, my dear Mueller. There's no need to crease your lovely face with such an ill-tempered expression. After all, is it not true that good fortune comes to those who favour those around them with a smile? Major Vander says, I am smiling. Estelle asks, is it just me, or do you recognise that uniform? This is in a whisper. Joshua whispers back, yeah, looks like the Imperial military to me. Zin whispers, he looks like he could be a tough one to take on in a fight too. Major Vander says, I don't believe we've met. My name is Mueller. I was just recently appointed as the resident military officer at the Erebonian Embassy. I've known this whack job for a very long time. Olivier smiles. One might even call us schoolyard chums. Oh, fret not over his dark demeanour. Without it, his presence wouldn't light up the room the way it does. Major Vander is about to burst a blood vessel. Okay, you really need to shut up now. Olivier says, right. Major Vander clears his throat, then says, now, where was I? From the looks of things, this fellow has caused you some trouble. As a representative of the Erebonian embassy, I sincerely apologise. Estelle says, oh, it's been okay. It's okay. He hasn't really been a bother. Actually, he was a big help to us in the tournament. Joshua asks, Olivier, did you deliberately try to keep your participation in the tournament a secret from the embassy? Olivier laughs. Oh, perish the thought. No, rather, I simply never told them. Major Vander demands, how is that any different from hiding it? But okay, fine, what's done is done. Though, now we're going back to the embassy. Yes, you're coming with me. Olivier asks, eh? Please, do wait a moment. We have all been invited to a delightful, indeed wondrous dinner party. Major Vander says, delightful and wondrous, eh? Sounds nice. Too bad you won't be attending. You're going to be confined to the embassy for a little while. Olivier asks, are you serious? Major Vander asks, when do I ever joke? Olivier says, oh, cruel fate, truly you drive a knife into mine very heart. And the promise of this dinner party has been all that's helped me to maintain my will to live. Estelle says, I actually feel kind of bad for him. Zin asks, is it really that big a deal if you let him go to the party? Joshua asks, what's your reasoning behind this? Olivier says, I knew I could count on you. Ah, but how lovely a thing is true friendship. Such warmth and affection as opposed to the cruel frigidity of my schoolyard chum. Major Vander says, I don't think you folks really understand just how serious this is. But try to picture this. A dinner party populated by royalty and its influential guests from across the country. And also in attendance, an arrogant fool who never shuts his mouth because his foot is lodged so far into it. And if they ever found out that this uncouth imbecile was an Erebonian citizen, the other three are lost in thought. Olivier says, my beautiful and gracious comrades, why have you suddenly fallen so silent? Estelle says, I'm sorry, Olivier, but he does kind of have a point. Joshua says, yeah, your usual behaviour might not be appreciated in the royal castle. Zin says, true. We wouldn't want to start an international incident, would we? Olivier asks, what? You would turn on me so easily? Major Vander says, the war only ended 10 years ago. Relations between our countries can still be strained at times. You'll just have to grin and bear it, Olivier. Olivier cries, please, Mueller, hear me out. I'm sorry that I didn't say anything before, when you... Major Vander says, this isn't a debate, and drags Olivier off. Too much protesting. Estelle asks, is this really okay? Joshua says, I can't say I really like it, but the facts are the facts. Zin says, well, there's nothing much we can do about it now. We'll just have to enjoy ourselves twice as much in order to make up for him not being able to join us. Estelle says, oh well, I guess you're right about that. let's get our stuff together and go to Gransel Castle then. Okay. Okay. Grab all the stuff we couldn't before. Because we couldn't afford it. Stop. And then we shall call an end to the episode and leave the grand banquet for next time. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in our next episode.